In the previous two videos, we have discussed about plant tissues, the meristematic tissues, the simple permanent tissue and the complex permanent tissue. Today we are going to focus on animal tissues. There are differences between plant tissues and animal tissues. Plant tissues are mostly dead tissues. In a living plant, dead tissues are important for them. But animal tissues are mostly or you can say all living cells. Dead cells are removed from the body. They are supportive in function. Almost all the plant tissues, they provide support to the whole plant. But animal tissues have special supportive tissues. Out of so many tissues that we will discuss, around 15-20 types, one type or two type gives support to the plant. Otherwise, all the plant tissues are mostly supportive in nature. Animal tissues have special tissues that are supportive in nature. Plant tissues also have a nature of continuously dividing. But animal tissues, they stop dividing after a certain period of time. So those are the ways. Plus the structure is also different because plants have, the functions of plants, as you know, and the function of animals are very different from each other. We have seen so many types of plant tissues, but animal tissues are only of 4 different types. What are they? They are called as epithelial tissues, muscular tissue, nervous tissue, and connective tissue. So 4 main types of animal tissues are there: the epithelial tissue, the muscular tissue, nervous tissue and connective tissue. Epithelial tissue mostly are present as covering of organs and body. All the organs and even the whole body is covered by a protective covering that is called epithelial tissue. Muscular tissue helps in movement and locomotion. Nervous tissue helps us to understand any stimulus and to give a response towards the stimulus. The connective tissues helps to connect and fix various body parts and also gives rigidity. And flexibility. So all the 4 tissues are very different from each other. In this video, we are going to concentrate on only 3 types of animal tissues because the connective tissue is a bit lengthy, so we will discuss it separately in the next video of animal tissue. So in this video, we are going to discuss about, out of 4 animal tissues, we will concentrate only on 3 animal tissues. So beginning with epithelial tissue, as we have just now seen, they are present as external covering of the body or whole body or the body parts, the different organs of the body. They are basically of 2 types. They are called as simple epithelial tissues or stratified epithelial tissue. Now the specialty of this is, it is a tissue, so it is a group of cells. The cells arranged in a layer and are fixed on a should remember this term, basement membrane. All the cells which join to form epithelial tissue are connected or attached or fixed to a thick membrane at the bottom. That membrane is called as basement membrane. It is a specialty of epithelial tissue because basement membrane is not found in any other animal tissue. Now, what is a simple epithelial tissue? When there is only one layer of cells on the basement membrane. So such epithelial tissue is called as simple epithelial tissue. Stratified when more than one layer of cells are found on the basement membrane. So more than one layer of cells present on basement membrane is called stratified, and only one layer of cells on the basement membrane is called simple epithelial tissue. Now, based on the shape and size of the cells, the simple epithelial tissue, it is of the following types. What are the various types of simple epithelial tissue? The first one is called as squamous epithelial tissue. Here the cells are thin and flat. If you observe this, the simple epithelial tissue, the diagram of simple epithelial tissue, I have told you the basic thing you have to remember in mind is basement membrane. So draw a basement membrane, a thick membrane like this at the bottom, and then there are very, very thin cells, almost flat cells present on the basement membrane as a single layer. Then it is called as squamous epithelial tissue, generally found as the inner lining of your buccal cavity. Any such smooth membranes inside the organs, if you lift your tongue inside your cheek, the inner half of the cheek, you will see there is a thin layer of cells that is called squamous epithelial tissue. The cells are very thin and flat. The second one is called cuboidal epithelial tissue. The name itself is very clear. The cells are cuboidal in shape. If you see, this is the figure of this. Cuboidal epithelial tissue, you again draw a basement membrane. It's a thick membrane at the bottom, and the cells are cuboidal shaped cells. You can very easily draw like this. This is a cuboidal epithelial tissue found in our glands and the duct, in the kidney tubules. These are the places where they are found. But this cuboidal epithelial tissue sometimes undergoes a modification. What is the modification? At some places it invaginates. अंदर की ओर ये fold हो जाता है. जैसे देखो ये basement membrane है, and this basement membrane folds like this. Are you able to understand this? It folds inwards. So on the basement membrane the cells are there. These cells along with the basement membrane will go inside. When the whole membrane bends, along with the basement membrane the cells also goes inside and forms a structure like this. Such a structure is called as a gland. Why I say that the cuboidal epithelial tissue is found inside the glands, and then it is not called as cuboidal epithelial tissue, it is rather called as a glandular epithelial tissue. So that is the second type called cuboidal epithelial tissue. And there is one more type, the third type is called as columnar epithelial tissue. Here it's very clear, the cells have a long height as compared to the length and breadth. You know, they are three-dimensional structure having length, breadth and height. The cells have enormous height as compared to the length and breadth. And you can draw very clear like column-shaped cells like this. Very long cells. The difference between this is the modification that we find here. You can see, I will draw one more structure here. There are some columnar epithelial tissues which have hair-like projections at their tip, like this. They help in the movement of particles, like say your respiratory tract. There is mucus secretion, dust particles are there. Dust particles and mucus is moved by the movement of this cilia. Or sometimes what happens, this free end of the keyboard columnar epithelial tissue, they develop finger-like projections, like this. So both are columnar epithelial tissue, but some columnar epithelial tissues at the tip develop cilia, and some develop the finger-like projections called villi. You have studied villi in your digestive system. You have seen the villi helps in absorption of food, digested food, absorption of water materials. So these are the three types of epithelial tissue which are present as the external cover or the covering of the organs or the inner lining of the organs. Depending on the shape of the cells, they are either of squamous epithelial tissue or cuboidal epithelial tissue or columnar epithelial tissue. Very simple, squamous is just a protection. Cuboidal helps in, glands से समझ में आता है, helps in secretion. Columnar epithelial tissue helps in the movement of particles and absorption of particles. As far as stratified epithelial tissue is concerned, it is very simple to understand. You will draw the basement membrane and you will draw one layer of cells like this, one layer. Then you draw a second layer of cells. You may draw a third layer of cells. Means on the basement membrane there are more than one layer of cells. So they are very much thicker in nature as compared to any other epithelial tissue. Stratified epithelial tissue is thicker in nature, and the example is our skin. Skin is an example of stratified epithelial tissue. All other tissues we have seen very squamous form on the thin inner lining of our body parts. Cuboidal is found in the ducts of glands, in the kidney tubules. Columnar epithelial tissue, ciliated, is found in the respiratory tract. The villi, having villi on the surface, they are found in the small intestine. Muscular tissue, we have just now discussed. Muscular tissue are the special tissue found in animals which are capable of, actually they contain special proteins called as contractile proteins. Contractile proteins means which can contract and relax. So because they contract means their size decreases, relax means their size increases. So because they are capable of contraction and relaxation, they are called as contractile proteins, and they help in movement and locomotion. There are three main types of muscular tissue present in our body. The first one is called as skeletal muscular tissue. Skeletal because they are always attached to our bones. Bones means skeleton. Because the muscles are attached to the bones, they are called as skeletal muscles. They are also called as voluntary muscles. Voluntary muscles because they are in control of our will. Whenever we want, we can move them. Like the muscles of your hand, of your legs. Whenever we want, we can fold it. Whenever we want, we can relax it. They are under our control. If I don't want to fold it, I will not fold it. So because they are under the control of our will, हमारी इच्छा शक्ति से वो चलता है. That is what is called voluntary muscles. They are also called as striated muscles. Striated because they show striations of light band and dark band. You know, light band is due to a protein called actin and dark band is due to a protein called myosin. If you observe these muscles, they are made up of muscular fibers. Large number of fibers are there where the cells are present. The biggest facility of these cells are multinucleate. The cells have more than one nucleus. Not all, but here and there you will see that some cells have more than one nucleus. Multinucleated cells which we don't find anywhere. And then what you see, all along the fiber, muscular fiber, you will see a dark band like this. Then a light band. Then once again a dark band. All along the fiber you will see this. So these are called dark bands, and in between the dark bands there are lighter bands. Lighter bands are due to the presence of or more accumulation of a protein called actin, and darker bands are due to the accumulation of myosin. They are attached to the bones, they are moved by our will, and when they move the bones with us, and that is how they help in walking or locomotion. The next one is called as smooth muscles. The smooth muscles are very different. These cells are multinucleate and cylindrical in nature. But these cells are spindle shaped and are uninucleate. Spindle shape in the sense, this is the shape of a cell having a nucleus inside, but inside there are thin fiber-like structures like this. This is one cell, and this is a tissue, so there are many such cells which join together like this. You can draw large number of cells. They connect together. Each one has these thin protein fibers. These protein fibers are called as myofibrils. And these protein fibers, they elongate, they stretch, so the size increases, or when they contract, the size decreases. They are present in our internal organs. Like the stomach has a particular size. When you eat food, the stomach extends. How it enlarges? It is due to the relaxation or elongation of the smooth myofibrils present on the smooth muscular fibers. Okay, that is the difference. So what is the difference between skeletal and smooth muscles? One is the shape. They are cylindrical skeletal muscles. These are spindle shaped. Second, these are voluntary and these are involuntary. You cannot move these muscles according to your will. The third one is this is striated and this is unstriated. Because nowhere you will find the stripes like this, dark light. ऐसा धारी जैसा कुछ यहाँ नहीं है. All over same. So that is why they are called as unstriated muscles. And the third one is called as cardiac muscles. They are present only in our heart. The cell shape is not very different. The cells are like the striated muscular cell, striated muscle cells, but it is uninucleate and also contains that dark and light bands. तो इसीलिए बोलता है कि they are like the skeletal muscles. लेकिन एक difference क्या है कि they are the fibers are branched. So there it changes with. See, these are the 4 fibers I have drawn. Here it is not like that. If a fiber runs like this fiber develops branches like this. The one more fiber if I draw here, this fiber, it has got branches like this. These are the branches. The fibers of skeletal muscles do not show branch, but this shows branches like this. There are cells, no doubt, but the cells are uninucleate. The cells are uninucleate. The cells also show dark and light bands. So that is not a problem. In that way, it is similar to the skeletal muscles. These are the dark and light bands. But it is very different from the skeletal muscles. And these are also involuntary. As you know, we cannot control the contraction and relaxation of heart. Heartbeat continues on its own. It cannot be controlled. So those are the differences. Sometimes they ask you to draw the picture of either skeletal muscular tissue, smooth muscular tissue, or the cardiac muscular tissue. And mostly they concentrate on knowing the difference between the three muscular tissue, where they are found. It's found only in heart. This is found in all internal organs except heart, and skeletal muscular tissue present always connected to your bones. Nervous tissue is the most important tissue, which actually is a huge difference between animals and plants. You know, plants do not react, but we always react. If something is there from external factor, if it is there, someone is coming to hit me, someone is pulling me, I always react. Someone asks me a question, I give a reply. But that is absent in plants. So that is a tissue which is a huge difference between plants and animals. What it does, it helps to understand the external world and to give a response to the changes. So that is a nervous tissue. As all tissues, this is made of, all tissues are made up of cells. So nervous tissue is also made of cells, but these cells are highly modified and differentiated cells called as, each cell is called as a neuron, As simply, every cell has a cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. So cytoplasm and nucleus is there, but this cell membrane, try to understand here, this cell membrane gets so much modified that it gives out very, very small branches all around. It develops small branches. There is one or two very long branches. So many short branches and one very long. These short branches, each of the short branch is called as a dendron. The main cytoplasm with the nucleus is called as cyton. The longest branch is called as axon. And this total structure, collection of dendron, cyton, axon, is called as a neuron. From the dendrons there arise hair-like projections, minute hair-like projections. These are called as dendrites. And the axon end develops branches. So axon runs towards the brain, and the dendrites are present at the receptors of our sense organs. So the dendrites, what they do, they receive the information. Like, if you see now, it is written nervous. So how do you see that? Your eye sees that. So from the eye, you have drawn the picture of eye, optic nerve fibers. The optic nerve fibers are present at the retina. So they have their dendrite there. So from there the information goes through axon. Axon क्या करता है? It carries the information towards the brain. So this structure, the whole structure acts like a wire. It acts like a conductor. conducting wire and passes the information like electrical signal. Exactly as electrical signal, electricity flows through the wires. Similarly, it is like a wire. The dendrites are there. Your tongue has dendrites which receive the taste. Your ear has dendrites which receive the vibration. Your skin has dendrites which receive the touch or the feeling. And they receive it, pass it to cyton, and from the cyton, the information travels through the axon and reaches towards the brain. So that is the function of nervous tissue. It is made up of cells. You need to know. We will go into further detail of the tissues forming the organ and organ system, the nervous system, and all those things we will study in 10th standard. But right now you understand that nervous tissue is that tissue which is made up of a special elongated wire-like cell called neuron, which is such a special cell that it receives the information from outside. The information can be any sight that you see, any sound vibration that you hear, any taste, all these types of any smell, all these are called information which are received by dendrites, and that information is carried by the longest tube called axon, and it is given to the brain. That is the function of nervous tissue. The rest of the tissue that we have left, there are 4 tissues I have told already. Animal tissues, the epithelial tissue, the muscular tissue, the nervous tissue, and connective tissue. Because of the shortage of time, in this video we have concentrated only on epithelial, muscular, and the nervous tissue. In the next video, we will concentrate only on the connective tissue. Thank you.